Now, Mead with Eric and Derek is a mead channel, but I just so happen to have a beer kit, and who doesn't love beer? So let's do a video about that. Hello. Once again, Derek can't be with me. He's enjoying family time over the holidays. So once again, I have a very special guest. Sir Cuthbert Hemmingwild. He's going to help us by watching the boil. Make sure the pot doesn't boil over. I have here an extract beer kit for more beer. Now there's two types of beer kits, an all grain kit and an extract kit. An all grain kit, you get a big, huge, giant sack of grains. You have to boil it in a big, giant kettle. With the extract kit, you just get a couple bags of extract. It's a little pricier, but much more easier. Using a beer kit is the easiest way to make beer. It's a little more complicated than mead, but still very, very easy. And all beer kits come with instruction sheets and recipe sheets. Make sure you read both the instructions and the recipe fully before you start. And then you can inventory your ingredients. Just follow the recipe sheet. I have my dry malt extract, or DME, my specialty grains, hops, yeast, and a clarifier tablet. Not all beer kits have these. These just make your final beer be prettier and more clear. As far as equipment, you're going to need a brewing kettle, the bigger the better. A 5-gallon fermenter with a bung and an airlock. Let's go ahead and toss those in the sanitizer. A big giant stirring spoon, mesh grain steeping bags. I'm not going to sanitize this. Thermometer, hydrometer, and a thing. I don't remember what these are called. They're not necessary, but turns out to be rather useful. You're also going to need 2 bottles of chilled drinking water, straight out of the fridge. I'll show you what these are for in a little bit. Now, sanitation is the most important part of the home brewing hobby. As long as you practice good sanitation, everything else will be okay. When you're making beer, the first step is to boil. And boiling water is very, very sanitary. So you don't really need to worry about sanitizing things like your steeping bag and anything that's going to go into the water before the boil. The boil itself will sanitize it. Okay, let's jump right in. Step 1 on our instructions is sanitizer, mixing sanitizer. I already have my bucket full of sanitizer here, so we're going to move past that step. Step 2, filling your kettle with water. Fill it about half of the way, 2/3 of the way with the water out of your sink or bottled water. The general rule of brewing is if your tap water is safe to drink, it's safe to brew. If you fill a glass of water from your sink and drink it, you're perfectly okay to brew with it. If not, go ahead and buy some bottled water. Step 3, we're going to put our specialty grains into our mesh bag. Yes, didn't do it very much, but oh well. And throw it in the water. We're going to set a little egg timer or a cooking timer for 30 minutes here. And we're going to be monitoring the temperature, looking for 170 degrees. And, it's got to be turned on to work. Now, if your water hits 170 before 30 minutes, go ahead and turn the heat off and let it go until the end of the 30 minutes. Make sure you attend your pot all the time. This solution ends up being very sugary and syrupy, and if it boils over and messes up your wife's kitchen, she'll never let you brew in her kitchen again. Remember, a watched pot never boils, but an unwatched pot always boils over. I'll see you in 30 minutes. When you're finished with the grains, the spent grains, don't throw them away. They make amazing dog treats and awesome bread. I'll leave links to the recipes in the description below. And our 30 minutes is finished. I hit 170 at about 20 minutes. So I turn the heat off and let it go 10 more. Now just grab out your bag. Go ahead and place your little deal right there. And, dang it. And then let it drain out. Now grab one of your bottles of water and pour it over the bag. Get as much of that good stuff out of there as you can. You're not going to get all of it out, so don't even try. Just a little bit, you know what I mean? And then remove your bag, set it aside later for dog treats. Turn the heat back on and bring it to a boil. It takes so long to boil it. It's boiling! Yes! Now it's time to add our DME. First, take it off of the heat. Very important. If you leave it on the heat when you add your DME, the DME will sink to the bottom and it will scorch on the bottom of your pot. Also, DME is essentially powdered sugar. You don't want to get the steam from the pot up into the bag as you're pouring it because it'll go all kinds of gunky and gooey and yucky and stuff. So I'm gonna try to cut open as big as opening as I can manage. And I'm gonna pour that in there.
Let's add the other half of our DME.
And mix it all up. Give it a good all stir with your spoon. I'm going to go ahead and put this back on the heat and bring it back to a boil. Now remember, this is essentially syrup now. Very, very, very high in sugar. And if this boils over all over your counter, all over your stove, all over the floor, it's going to take you hours to clean it up. So always watch your pot. Don't let it boil over. And here's a pro tip. If it does start boiling over, take a little bit of bottled water and pour it in. It'll knock down the temperature just high enough for it to stop boiling over. And I'm going to keep on stirring this while it's returning to a boil to finish getting it all mixed up inside there. Starting to smell wonderful now. Now most beer kits, including this one, have a hop schedule to add. This Pacific recipe has 3 different hops you're going to add. One at 60 minutes into the boil, one 5 minutes to the end, and one 1 minute to the end. Hops are a magical plant. They instill aroma and bitterness into whatever it is you're brewing. If you boil the hops for a long time, you'll get less aroma, more bittering. If you boil them for a short time, you'll get more aroma and less bittering. The longer you boil them, the more bittering you get. The shorter you boil them, the more aroma you get. And this is why we have a hop schedule when brewing beer. We put hops in the beginning for bittering, and we also put hops towards the end for aroma. So once it starts boiling, I'm going to set my hour timer to time it out. I'm going to give a close eye on the pot. I'm going to add 1 hops as soon as it boils, 1 hops 5 minutes to the end, and 1 hop 1 minute to the end. This is called wort now. Unfermented beer is called wort. Unfermented mead is called must. And that's mixed up all nice and good, so now we're just waiting for a boil. Once it starts boiling, it's gonna foam up. And I'm gonna turn down temperatures till it stops going up and bring it back to a boil. And you want to constantly play with your temperature until you find that perfect sweet spot where it's boiling, but it doesn't boil over. It takes a little bit of patience, a little bit of practice. And once it starts boiling, we're going to start our 1 hour timer and start our hop additions. And now we're boiling. So we're going to start our 1 hour timer. And see, we're already boiling over. Pour the water. And we're going to turn down the heat a little bit. See if we can find that perfect sweet spot where it boils, but it doesn't boil over. And we're going to stop. Give my little hot plate a second to cool down a little bit. And as soon as I get this under control, I'll put my hops in there. And once again, you're going to play with this till you find that sweet spot of the perfect heat where it boils it but doesn't boil over. And if you ever lose control of the situation, just grab your bottle of water and pour some in there. It'll instantly drop the temperature just enough for it to stop boiling over. Our first hop addition is the Magnum hops at 60 minutes. So we're going to open that. And we're just going to pour those in there. I love the smell of hops. Now I currently have it boiling, but the foam doesn't seem to be rising anymore. I think I might have found a good spot. But never, ever, ever walk away from this pot. The minute you walk away, it's going to go everywhere. And let's let it go for 1 hour. When there's 5 minutes left in the boil, I'm going to add more hops. When there's 1 minute left in the boil, I'm going to add the last hops. And the directions also say to add this Werflock clarifier tablet at 5 minutes left in the boil. So I'll be putting those two. Now remember, while you're boiling this, when it's boiling nice and clean and pretty like this without foaming over, you want to slowly and gradually pick up the temperature to get it hotter and hotter. So you do find that perfect spot where it's boiling to its fullest intensity without foaming over. Once it starts foaming over, turn it down a little bit. This recipe sheet comes with a little record keeping thing and like a little tag for your tap handle. It's really cool. I had a few pints while I was boiling that, so I'm feeling pretty good about this now. Okay, but our boil is finished. Now back to the beer part. Now that we're no longer going to be boiling anything, we have to sanitize everything. So we're going to get our bucket. Actually, I'm going to give it a quick rinse out. Whenever you buy brand new buckets, before you use them for the first time, make sure you give them a good wash, get all those like factory chemicals or whatever out of there. But the only point of this carboy is to transfer water. Go ahead and pour some sanitizer in there. I can go back in there. Put the lid on. Golly. You want to stopper up that hole and give it a good shake. Get that sanitizer. Oh! What is happening? Get the sanitizer all over everything. See how strong I am? And we're gonna let that sit for just a few minutes for that sanitizer to do its thing. Now we have to cool everything down before we pitch the yeast. All that boiled water, the boiled wort, it's really hot. If you pitch the yeast directly into that, the yeast will die. Now you can buy a wort chiller, which is this weird pipe thing that goes inside your bucket and circulates cold water through and chills it down really quickly. But I don't have one of those, so I gotta do it the old-fashioned way, the long way. So I'm gonna pour my boiled wort into here, top it up to 5 gallons with cold water, and then let it sit in an ice bath for a couple hours. And we're just gonna pour it on in there. Now we want to find our little marks on the bucket. 5 gallon, top it up with the cold water to that. And I'll speed time that part. And there we go. We're all done. All we gotta do now is pitch the yeast. But we cannot pitch the yeast until this is cooled down. You cannot pitch yeast when it's too hot. Worst case scenario, the yeast will die. Best case scenario, you'll have a long lac phase. But I have a frigerator in the garage with nothing in it. So I'm gonna put a lid on this, seal the little hole up, put it in the frigerator, and let it cool down. I will continue with this when it's cooled. Okay, our wort is cooled down and it only took 6 hours. So we're gonna pull the lid off. Dang. Let's take those off and sanitize them again. I'm gonna give all that a good stir to mix it all back up again. We're also gonna get a temperature reading and a gravity reading. Don't be afraid to make a mess, just mix all that together. The more splashing you do here, the better. You want to get as much oxygen as you can inside that wort there. And let's see what the temperature says. That is about 70 degrees, which is good. Let's see what the gravity is. Oh, I can't see those 2 new bubbles. The bubbles are in a way I can't see. Oh, about 1.066. Now the instructions say to rehydrate this yeast before you use it. I've never done that with beer, but the recipe says do it, so we'll do it. Sanitize that first. So the recipe says about 4 ounces of water. Pour the yeast in there. Just pour it in. The instructions say let that sit for 15 minutes. I've never rehydrated yeast for beer before, but it says do that, so we might as well go ahead and do it. I put a paper towel over this just to keep flying husky hairs and flies and stuff out. When I stir this one more time, there's absolutely no reason why I'm doing this. Just for funsies, you know? And pitch the yeast, industry term. 1 yeast cell will multiply into billions. So all that little residue and bits and pieces that you're missing in there, don't worry about that, it's fine. And there you go. All done, complete. Put yonder lid on. Stuff the bung back in there with the airlock. And there you go. When I wake up in the morning, this will most likely be fermenting. And I expect it to take about 2 weeks, about 7 days for the ferment and 7 more days to clear. And then this is gonna be going in the keg. Thank you for watching Mead with Eric and Derek. We hope you have as much fun watching us as we have making this.
Don't forget to hit the like button, subscribe, and the notification bell so you're notified each time we upload.
And join the Discord, where more than 1,000 mead makers are always there to help you make better mead. Everything we talked about today is available for More Beer. Now, we are affiliated with More Beer. We may make a small commission on sales at no extra cost to you. It helps support the channel and helps us bring more content to you.
Links are in the description down below. See you next time.